And right after Davos, the next weekend, I will travel to India. There's still work to do, but we are on the cusp of a historic trade agreement. Indeed, some call it the mother of all deals.
In a few days, the European Union and India will meet in New Delhi for the 16th EU-India Summit. This is a pivotal moment for our bilateral relationship, with renewed political momentum and clear sense of purpose.
In a few days' time, the President of the European Commission will travel to India to establish the principles of a free trade agreement between the subcontinent and the European Union. I was in India a week ago, and I have no doubt whatsoever that the era of great powers presents an opportunity for all of us and for all countries that favor regulations above arbitrary rule and see greater benefit in free trade than in protectionism and isolationism.
2 billion people.
2 billion people.
Some call it the mother of all deals.
The mother of all deals.
Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, is currently in India. She was the chief guest at the 77th Republic Day Parade on 26 January 2026, along with Antonio Costa, President of the European Council. Von der Leyen landed in the national capital on January 24 for a 4-day visit. On 27 January 2026, both Leyen and Costa will hold summit talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
And right after Davos, the next weekend, I will travel to India. There's still work to do, but we are on the cusp of a historic trade agreement. Indeed, some call it the mother of all deals. One that would create a market of 2 billion people, accounting for almost a quarter of global GDP. And crucially, that would provide a first-mover advantage for Europe, with one of the world's fastest growing and most dynamic continents. Europe wants to do business with the growth centers of today and the economic powerhouses of this century, from Latin America to the Indo-Pacific and far beyond. Europe will always choose the world, and the world is ready to choose Europe.
Because they wanted to sign this big trade deal with India.
Mother of all deals.
The EU and India are moving closer together at the time when the rules-based international order is under unprecedented pressure through wars, coercion, and economic fragmentation. 2 major democracies cannot afford to hesitate. We must become more ambitious partners. Europe and India share a responsibility to uphold international law and the UN Charter and adopt the multilateral system so that it works also in the 21st century and beyond. The summit will adopt a new joint EU-India comprehensive strategic agenda, setting our course towards 2030. Leaders will endorse concrete deliverables that move our partnerships from words to actions. 3 stand out. First, we aim to conclude negotiations on the EU-India Free Trade Agreement. This deal will open markets, remove barriers, and strengthen critical supply chains in clean technologies, pharmaceuticals, and semiconductors. Second, today we agreed to move forward with the signature of a new EU-India security and defence partnership in areas like maritime security, cybersecurity, and counter-terrorism. We will also launch negotiations on a security of information agreement. In a more dangerous world, we will both gain from working closer together. We also intend to conclude a memorandum of understanding on comprehensive framework on cooperation on mobility. This will facilitate movement for seasonal workers, students, researchers, and highly skilled professionals while promoting research and innovation. Honourable members, these deliverables reflect our shared priorities. Our on prosperity and the clean transition, the EU is already one of India's largest trading partners. And India is becoming indispensable to Europe's economic resilience. Our clean energy and climate partnership links climate ambition with industrial competitiveness. We cooperate on renewables, green hydrogen and sustainable manufacturing. On technology and security, the EU-India Trade and Technology Council is shaping cooperation on artificial intelligence, semiconductors, cybersecurity and digital infrastructure. The goal is simple but strategic. To embed trusted standards that shape global markets rather than to react to them. In the Indo-Pacific and beyond, Europe and India can help anchor stability by defending open sea lanes, strengthening maritime domain awareness, and resisting coercion in all of its forms. Honourable members, this summit matters for what it sets in motion, a more ambitious, more operational EU-India partnership.
For goods and services to Europe is expected to go up to $250 to $270 billion in the next 5 to 6 years. So that's a major quantum jump. However, in addition to the trade component, there is expectation that there will also be a defense partnership agreement signed. Now that becomes even more important for Europe, again, I would say, in the present environment when Europe is finding that America is kind of drifting away from it, when Europe needs its own security cover, and Europe realizes that it has made woeful investments in defense. Europe is majorly ramping up its defense expenditures. It will bring, I think, considerable advantage to India and Europe both once this defense agreement is signed. In fact, the EU is in, I would say, a trauma, especially after the last week at Davos. The US-European relations were heading towards a drift, but this past week, I think, has dealt a trauma to the Europeans and European leadership. Free trade agreement is a big step forward. The European Union has a GDP of around $20 trillion. India is around 4.5. It creates a big $25 billion market both ways. India, we export around $130 billion of goods and services to the EU. After this free trade agreement, our exports will jump from $130 billion to around $200 billion. And European exports to India, which are around 80 billion or now, will jump to around 150. So cumulative bilateral trade will go from around $200 billion now to $350 billion. So that's a big jump in the next 5 to 7 years. For India, this will also lead to jobs growth. It's expected that anywhere from 2 million to 3 million jobs will be added as a result of this FTA.
India's domestic market is very strong when it comes to tea. Second, the free trade agreement with UK, European Union will open a new market for Assam's tea. But the major breakthrough is the free trade agreement. Once the free trade agreement with UK, European Union, etc. will be operationalized, I think Indian tea, more particularly Assam tea, will get a very good market.
The EU trade deal is expected to happen tomorrow. I think that will be a significant step to bring America to the negotiating table if India gets a very good deal with EU. And I'm not really going to comment on the budget. That's for our finance minister to do. I'm hopeful tomorrow there's something happening. So let's see what comes out of it. But I think for the textile also, it's the news that came in the papers today is that India is negotiating for zero duty on textiles. That will be not only good for the industry, but it will also be good from an employment point of view, because textiles is amongst the largest employers in the country.